Into the Wild. All right, this is the book. It's a story about a kid named Chris McCandless. In April 1992, a young man from a well-to-do family hitchhiked to Alaska and walked alone into the wilderness north of Mount McKinley. His name was Christopher Johnson McCandless. He had given $25,000 in his savings to charity, abandoned his car and most of his possessions, burned all the cash in his wallet, and invented a new life for himself. 4 months later, his decomposed body was found by a moose hunter. ... Okay, so this is a book by John Krakauer, and really good book. You can also check out the movie. The movie was done in, I think the book was written in 1999 or something like that. Let me check. So the book was written in 96, and the movie was done in 2007 by Sean Penn, directed it by Sean Penn. Phenomenal movie, really great movie. And I'm reading the book now. The book is obviously a little bit different, more in-depth, but I do think the movie was it was a really phenomenal movie. You can check it out on Netflix, so basically everywhere. But we're going to talk about Into the Wild. It's a really famous story. It definitely is a pretty deep concept, and a lot of people really like it. So let's dive into it. So some people lean towards the idea that Chris was ignorant and he kind of wasted his life and died in the wilderness for no reason. And then there's a lot of people that think he's a hero and he ran from society, ran from the normal life, and lived an unorthodox life and actually lived the dream that a lot of people speak about but they never actually go out and do. And I think both sides are kind of true if you want to be kind of rational about it. He did break away from society, like they said right in the front cover. He gave $25,000 of his savings that his family was saving for him, and this, that, and the third, and he just gave it away. He burned all of his money. He didn't even care about his car. He just left it in the desert, and he just hitchhiked for like a year, 2 years, and he slowly made his way to Alaska. Hitchhiking, that was the whole goal, and he wanted to live off the land. If you see the movie or if you know the story, basically, he was not prepared. He did not really know how to live off the land. He didn't know really how to hunt, how to gather, how to really do anything, preserve meat, anything like that. And he started losing a lot of weight, and he basically slowly started starving, and or started to starve, die of starvation, right? He eventually tried, the story is that he eventually tried to cross the river that he crossed earlier in the year, and the snow melted and the river was this raging river. Before it was just kind of like this deep kind of thick creek, and now it's this crazy river where there's no way he's gonna walk by it. And he turns around and walks back to his bus where he's camping at. You can see he's camping inside of this bus. He probably would have died if he didn't find that bus, if I'm being honest with you too. He probably would have died a lot quicker if he didn't find that bus, and nobody really wants to talk about that. Yeah, that being said, he basically went back to the bus, I guess he was really starving, he was really hungry, and he started eating these potato seed roots or potato root seeds or something like that. And there's an argument that he started eating them before he even went out to try to cross the river. He really just started hallucinating, and those seeds are really terrible because they kind of make you hallucinate, and they like make you starve even more than what you're already starving. And he was already starving to a great amount, and yeah, he was really suffering out there. And he was not prepared to go out there. There were Alaskan natives that told him he was not prepared to go out there. And he didn't really care. He was kind of ignorant. He thought he knew what he was doing. And he ended up dying out there only 4 months into his trip. He lasted 4 months though. 4 months is quite a long time. But, you know, he had his life ahead of him, if you really want to be real about that. But he also was living the dream that he always said he wanted to live, alone. I mean, he's also lonely, and he wrote about he was being lonely. He wrote, I think there was a famous thing he said, memories are only good when they're shared, or something along those lines, as in, you know, people make life. Like, life is about the people around you and the memories you make with humans and stuff. And I think he started realizing that, and I think it's pretty sad that he died alone out there, especially if it's true that he really tried coming back into society and leaving the bus and trying to take the hike back into Alaska. And who knows if he would have came back home, or if he would have just lived in Alaska. Nobody really knows. But that's not just his story about going out there and dying in the wilderness. It's more than that. He met people that will forever remember him. He made memories that will forever be there, even if he's not here. And he just did a lot of really cool things and seen a lot of places that people always, say they want to see or say they want to do, or beg people to go do things and always claim, oh, I want to go do this, or I'm going to go see this, or I'm going to chase my dreams. And he really went out and did it. He was unprepared, and that can be the reality of life. Life is hard and difficult. Living out in the land is difficult. Starting your own business is difficult. Starting a successful career and staying on the right path of life for a long time is difficult. So, and what he did was difficult. To break from the norm and live this crazy life is difficult. Was it worth it? Some would say, but you could make the argument is you could camp as much as you want. You can travel all the time. You could travel every year. You get a job that you love, that you can make money and travel. And maybe they're a good company and they do good for the world, and you're knocking 3 birds out with 1 stone. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to give your life to this extreme living out in the traveling and being a nomad, and this wanderlust that he really fell in wanderlust, and he ended up dying because of it. And you could make the argument he didn't die because of wanderlust. He died because of unpreparedness in the wilderness. The wilderness is no joke. Mother Nature is no joke. And if you want to live out there, especially Alaska, you could go up to certain places in Michigan and Wisconsin, and it's really desolate, and you could live off the land and live in these trees and in the mountains and in Vermont and stuff like that. You don't have to go all the way to Alaska to where there's no civilization in case you want to throw up the white towel and be like, I'm done. I mean, even out in the lower 48, you can get lost in the woods and die. But I don't know. He wanted to do that. That's the thing, right? He wanted to do something with his life, and he went out and he did it. And that's something that a lot of people never can say they did. He died at, I think, 22 or 24 years old. And I think that's probably the saddest part of everything. But he did some things that he really wanted to do, and he got them done. But Into the Wild, an American folklore that the human loves to hear. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the story? What do you think about the movie? What do you think about the book? How do you feel about Chris McCandless and his story? Do you think he was a hero? Do you think he was an ignorant, young kind of idiot kid that thought he knew better, but ended up dying in the wilderness and throwing away his life and throwing away the opportunity that life gives us? Or did he seize the moment and do the things that he wanted to do? Maybe he died doing it, but he got to do a lot of the things that he wanted to do. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the story? And if you haven't seen or heard of the story, check out the book by John Krakauer, and also check out the movie on Netflix, Into the Wild. Thank you for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe. Check out my podcast, Keeping It Real Podcast. Links in the description. Vlogmas Day 4. Go into 25, baby. Let's go. Deuces.